Okay, so Auburn is in week 2 of the college football season. Once again, it's Kennard, Vernon, and Stewart here for the podcast. We're talking Auburn football. Go ahead and subscribe to Vernon Speak Sports Auburn, where we keep it as real as possible about Auburn football. Like the video, comment, and subscribe to Vernon Speak Sports Auburn. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle. I think some of the questions about the Freeze 4, at least on the surface, has been addressed. I think these guys are talented. I think these guys have shown some things in the wide receiver core that, maybe Auburn has not seen in a while, or maybe, you get a certain subgroup that may say that this is something that Auburn has never seen. I don't think Auburn has ever seen 73 points scored in 13 minutes with an abbreviated second half is something that Auburn has ever seen, no matter who the opponent was. The opponent this past weekend was Alabama A&M. Auburn was very successful in pretty much everything they did, but we're going to talk about some caveats that could come down the stretch that may be a burden to Auburn if they don't get it fixed. Auburn, gets the win over Alabama A&M 73-3. That's incredible. I don't think there's many teams that you will beat that bad. My question is Auburn that good, or was Alabama A&M that bad? But my goodness, 73 points in less than 20 minutes of playing time of possession. It's pretty incredible, I think. Auburn welcomes the University of California, Berkeley into Jordan-Hare Stadium. And, I think Cal is looking for some revenge, and I think rightfully so. That was a game that I feel that California, Berkeley felt like, they left that win on the table. I think both teams made every mistake possible to give the other team the win. Auburn, succeeded with an improbable drive at the end with Rivaldo Fairweather with the winning touchdown in that one. But at the same time, you think about it, from a passing game standpoint, Auburn just didn't have it. Whenever you're in a situation, and this is no offense to Rivaldo Fairweather, I think he's a very talented player. But in Power 5 football, when you're expected to compete against the Georgias, the LSUs, the Ole Misses, and the Alabamas of the college football world, I just don't think you can bank on a super athletic tight end to carry the load. And even with that, he less than 500 yards of total production last year. Now, if you're a betting guy, you're talking about Auburn versus California. So I helped a lot of folks out last week. I picked the spread to where it will be over. I can't remember what the exact amount was. I picked the over, and I did that based on the Freeze 4. I did that based on what the probable play calling would be. And it turned out I was right. And in a lot of cases, I am right. If you look at my prediction shows, I'm usually right. Sometimes I'm wrong, though, but I'm usually right. Now, this week is a little bit different. I think California poses a different type of animal for the Auburn Tigers. Number one, they've, if nothing else, this is a team that experienced some adversity in week 1. This is a team that had to play the time of possession game against their opponent. They also had to face some adversities. They had to create some turnovers. They were actually all but even at halftime. So this is a team that has faced some adversities, that has kind of a kind of an advantage over Auburn of sorts, to where they had a much more balanced football game, to where you can much more kind of season an outcome that was more realistic. Now, albeit, the team they faced was a FCS team, but if you look at how Auburn was able to be successful against Alabama A&M, it's just not realistic. Normally, you're not going to be a team that scores 73 points, actually has 2 turnovers, not really active in the running game, kind of even at the first down ratio between the two teams, and be that successful. So that's why I think, when you're betting on a game like this, where Auburn has an 11.5 point advantage, we'll just call it 12, and with the over under 52, I looking at games like this, especially with California having that edge on them, to where they want to seek some revenge against Auburn. Now, do I expect Auburn to win the football game? I'm going to talk about this in my prediction show. Yeah, I do. I think Auburn has revamped this roster to where they're just that much better than Cal. However, when I look at the spread, 11.5, if you're going to bet on this game, I had a couple of guys that actually won last week. If you're going to bet on this game, I think you're going to go ahead and go with Auburn covering the spread of 11.5. However, because California will not score as many points, because I just don't think they have the offensive prowess to do so against Auburn's defense, who I think will make some adjustments throughout the game. DJ Durkin is going to do some things that is going to be very problematic for this team. He's going to bring some pressures to what has been kind of an iffy quarterback situation for Cal for the last few years. I think Auburn will have a handle on the run game there. I think if you're a betting guy, and if it's illegal for you to bet on these games in your state online, which is not in Georgia, which is why I can't take advantage of that opportunity here. Man, I make a lot of money if this thing was legal here. But either way, I think if you're going to do this, I think you're going to want to bet that Auburn will win by more than 11 points. Well, win at least by 11.5 points. So I think you're going to take the over on the points. But I think you're going to take the under on the point spread. The point spread is like 52.5. I don't think Auburn will, between Auburn and California is a much better roster than Alabama A&M. And I think they are a team that, although transitioning into the ACC, which I don't think makes any geographical sense, I think they're a team that has a much better roster than a team like Alabama A&M or a team like New Mexico State. I think Auburn wins by more than, the spread, the point spread. But I don't think the two teams combined will score more than 52 points. I think you're going to be looking at more like a, 28 to, 14, or maybe a 35-14 type game here. So I just don't, I think this, if you're really going to roll the dice, and if you really know the game of football, I don't think you will pick an over of more than what the spread calls for in Vegas. Hopefully you'll win some money. And if you do, leave it in the comment section based on what we talked about tonight. Now, when we talk about Auburn versus California, Auburn is a team that everything went right in week 1. Everything went wrong. Well, not wrong, but it was some adverse situations for California in week 1. They're only up 14-13. They had to do some things that, they had to, face some adversities and overcome and come back and win that game. Still winning 31-13. That says a lot about this football team. Now, I think the advantage in a situation like that, from a sustainability standpoint, I think it goes to California. You got 29 minutes of time of possession, which is very key in a game. And I think that's going to be something that they want to do offensively. I think they want to keep the ball out of Auburn's hands in this game. And I think that if they can control the time of possession, if nothing else, they will be able to cover the spread from a point standpoint, but I just don't think they have enough to cover from the actual win-loss compilation, which I think Auburn will win by more than the point spread allows. Now, here's another thing. I want to see a situation where Auburn is in duress. I want to see how Peyton Thorne performs when he's under pressure, when it's like a crucial 3rd down and 3, or when there's a situation where you have to run the ball. Auburn did not run the ball really in the first game. Will Auburn utilize the running game a little bit more here in this game against California? I think they will have to. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the freeze 4 and some of the other additives, such as Keandre Lambert-Smith and, Sam Jackson, who probably has a chip on his shoulder. He actually had some opportunity to play for California, was a very pivotal part as quarterback at certain points in the Auburn game against California. I think Auburn has a better skill set. I think they will be able to move the football pretty consistently. But what I want to see from Auburn, which we didn't see, is, 3rd down situations to where you got to get it, or else the momentum will shift, things like that. That's what we're looking for in a game like this. My name is Kennard Vernon Stewart. Make sure you revisit the first end of this video to see if you want to place your bets based on what I was talking about. I think you should. I think you should go with the over, but you got to go with the under on. You should go with the 12.5 spread over. I think Auburn will win this game by at least a couple of touchdowns, but I think it's a little dangerous when you talk about the entire point spread, which is 52. I just don't think California will hold their end of the deal to be able to reach that threshold. Peyton Thorne, you're on the clock, brother. We got to see how you perform in those adverse situations that will come in a high impact game, high anxiety kind of game. You got a Power 5 team that just transitioned to the ACC trying to make a statement. As a matter of fact, if pretty much this will give California an opportunity to see what it's like to travel cross country every week, to play a football game, to play a bat. My goodness, this is absolutely ridiculous. California, like at the tip of the West Coast, as an Atlantic Coast Conference team. How about that for something that makes sense? Like this video, go ahead and subscribe to Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn. Down deep south, college football is king. And on the plains of Auburn, the battle cry is war damn.